A lot of people come to me and ask me for a meal plan because they think if they have someone tell them what to eat, that's going to solve all their problems. They don't have to think about it, and then they can lose weight, and then they can move towards their weight loss goals. However, in my experience, that's not necessarily the case, because when you are in such a restrictive mindset and in such a restrictive plan, if you were to follow that even for one meal, never mind one day, you would probably assume you were a failure and you can't stick to it. And with such rigid and structured frameworks, it's hard to stick to long term, which is not the goal. So what I say to people when they come and ask me, can I get a meal plan, is no, because I'm not legally allowed as a personal trainer to give you a meal plan in case I, mess up any allergies or intolerances that you may have. So I can't legally give you one. So what I'm going to go into today is I'm going to give you a wee sneak peek under the hood at one of the very first steps that I get my clients to go through with their nutrition. And it's going to be going through the traffic light food list. So this is a framework to manage your nutrition and build out the meals that you like. So each week, all we're going to do is try and improve on your nutrition by adding in more green foods into your diet, trying new meals and cutting down on the reds. This will make sense as we go through. Now, for the most part, it blows my mind because people always say, oh, I really want to, have variety. I want to eat loads of different stuff. And I'm like, chances are you probably don't even do that already, because we probably eat the same 4 to 5 meals on rotation for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So all we're going to start with is start putting down the foods that you're already eating. Before we dive into the traffic light list, I want to just highlight that this doesn't necessarily split foods into good and bad categories. Everyone always says, oh, I'm having to cut out pasta because it's bad for me. Is this food good for me? And I say, I have no idea. What's good for you and what's good for me are completely different things. So I can't in good faith and in good confidence say, yeah, go and eat that, that's good. What we can do though is just use a broader sense of awareness, and we can make our own decisions based on that. We're not necessarily restricting stuff, but we're going to put all our foods into a framework that we can say, yes, this is going to help me move closer towards my goals. This might not necessarily help me as much, but I'm still going to allow myself to have it because life is short and we're not trying to be bodybuilders. We're not trying to go on stage. We're not competing for gold medals in the Olympics. We're just here to try and look better, feel better, perform better in the gym, and just, feel better in our day-to-day lives. So this is a framework that isn't necessarily going to be, this is good and this is bad. And the traffic light food list will cut through all that and we can kind of assess where everything is from there. So let me break it down. So the green foods, we're going to start with these, and that's going to be foods that you like, foods that support your goals, and foods that agree with you, so they don't necessarily give you digestive issues. Now, I'm going to give you some examples here because a lot of people kind of get overwhelmed and struggle with this. So what I'd encourage you to do is make this your own list. If there's foods here that you don't like, get rid of it. This isn't me telling you what to do. This is me giving you a framework so that you can input your own data and foods that you like, foods that agree with you, foods that support your goals, and then you can run with it. I'm not here to tell you anything's good or bad. This is me giving you tools and an idea of what you can implement, and then we'll piece it all together at the end into building your own unique meal plan. So foods that you like, foods that support your goals. So these are typically going to be foods, like your proteins, chicken, steaks, mince, protein powder, tuna, salmon, tofu, whatever it is. Things like vegetables might be in here, so loads of different veggies, fruits, peanut butter, coconut water, sourdough bread, protein yogurts. So this is my green list. So these are all things that are on my list that I like for a start. I don't have eggs on this because I don't like eggs. If you like eggs, put them in there if you think it's a green food. All of these, I would say, support my goals. And all of these, I would say, agree with me as well. I don't have any digestive issues eating them. I don't have any intolerances. So these are a go for me. Next up, we're going to move into the amber category. So ambers are foods that you like, foods that somewhat support your goals, and then foods that you somewhat agree with you. Things like wraps. I know a lot of people struggle with bloating when they eat wraps and bread and rice and stuff like that. So I do as well. So these are in my amber, so it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad for my goals or for me, but they're somewhat, they're in the middle there. So for me, it could be like ketchup, mayonnaise, rice cakes, yogurts, cheese, bread, sausages, bacon, butter, fizzy juice, So these are foods, again, that aren't necessarily bad, and I'm still having them, but I'm going to kind of become more aware of how much of these I'm adding into my diet, which leaves the red list down the bottom, and this is going to be, a no-brainer. This is going to be the foods that you really, really like, but do not support your goals. And when I say you really like them, I mean the foods that you lose control over and can just over consume. So things like takeouts, chocolates, crisps, alcohol, sweets, fizzy drinks, snacky foods, pizza, whatever it is, the foods that you know, if it's in the kitchen, is going to be destroyed in a day. You know, for me, Monster Munch, pickled onion, Space Raiders, those crisps, like a big bar of chocolate. I can buy a bar of chocolate and within good intentions say, oh yeah, I'll just have a line a day for the next week, and then that bar only lasts an hour because I'm just like, oh, what's another wee line? I cannot have that in the house because I know I'll overconsume it. Even though I've got the best intentions, it's just a weakness of mine. So that's definitely going to be in my red list. But again, I want to just highlight that this isn't good and bad. This is foods that support your goals and don't necessarily support your goals. I still have chocolate, I don't cut it out, but I'm more aware of how much I can have and how to add it into my diet. Nice one. So now you've got your own list. Write down your greens, your ambers, and your reds. And then from there, just a bunch of food, mate. What can we do for here? So what we're going to do next is piece all this together and build out your own unique meal plan. So this is stage one, and I get all my clients to go through this. And yes, it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but again, this is the foundation of you creating new meals, building shopping lists. So this is going to take you far if you utilize it. So how to build out meals from this list? Let's go through it. Is I would like you to prioritise your protein intake. So focus on eating protein sources with every meal. So these are just going to be wee action steps to help you build out meals. So here you've got a big list of stuff. So when you come down to sitting and writing your own meal plan and your own shopping list, sit down and plan and make sure that every meal has a protein source. Now this could be, you know, a chicken wrap for lunch. Cool, awesome, go for it. Could be chicken and asparagus and whatever else, maybe some cheese. Cool, that's a meal, that could be a dinner. If you're having breakfast, it might be a protein yogurt or protein powder, or it could be, you know, toast with cheese and tuna, or whatever it is, you know, like, you can see what I'm getting at here is the meals that you've already eaten or you already eat on a daily basis and weekly basis all stem from these foods. So you're just piecing it all together and you can make new meals, or you can just write down and live off the meals that you currently already eat. Now having this framework in it. So every meal, just making sure that you're prioritising your protein intake first, and that's just going to be one of the biggest game changers that you can make. Next up, simply enough, try eating fruit and veg every day, fresh or frozen, doesn't necessarily matter. And again, you can see what we're getting at here. We're trying to make sure that most of our foods are coming from this green category here because they support your goals, and they agree with you with no digestive issues. And again, that's what you're here for, is to eat mostly whole foods, natural foods that are going to support your goals long term. And I think I might have just spoiled the rest of this here, so we'll just uncover it. So I aim to eat mostly green foods, look to improve the meals that you're already eating. So a wee bit of reflection here, how can you make it more green? So say for example, you eat a lot of pasta with not much protein in it. You know, it might just be pasta with tomato sauce or something. What can we do to add a bit of protein in that? Cool. Can you make it spaghetti bolognese? Can you bring in some mince? Or can you add in some tuna to make it tuna pasta? Like, how can we make that meal that you currently have a wee bit more better for your goals? And then you can just look into improving it over time. So again, we're not cutting them out, but we're limiting red foods to occasions where you'll enjoy it more. So for example, a night out with friends or family, or a takeout with a family, rather than you sitting there on a Tuesday night by yourself and continuing to get pizzas or takeouts or whatever, it doesn't become a treat in that sense. It's just the norm. So how can we bring in more greens? How can we limit our reds to times that we actually will enjoy it with other people or ourselves, you know, if it is an occasion that we are celebrating. But you can see what I'm getting at here. This is a good framework that you can bring in. Again, you're not cutting anything out and you're in control. Rather than having someone tell you this is the way to go, you can take back the power, take back control and build it out yourself. And again, in my experience of working with over hundreds of people at this stage, when someone's in the driver's seat making the decisions that are going to move them towards their outcome, and they have a bit of guidance from myself, of course, that's what I'm here for, they tend to stick to it long term because it's their unique life, their unique foods, their unique likes and dislikes that they're fitting into their own life, rather than having a complete outsider give them absolutely everything, and then they feel like they're up against the wall going, oh, what if I don't stick to this? What if this guy, what if he thinks I'm a failure? Oh, and it's just too much pressure. When it's you making up your own decisions based on your own life, you're way more likely to stick to it, therefore you're way more likely to get results, and therefore you're way more likely to get to your weight loss goals. And this is just step one. Within that is curating meals, making sure that what you're eating is fitting in a certain framework that's going to move you towards that outcome. And it's going to be fun as well, because you're not going to have foods on this that you don't like. Again, I don't like eggs. What else don't I like? I don't even know. I don't have foods that I don't like on my list. Therefore, I know whatever I make from this list, it's going to be good. So hopefully that's helpful. If you did find this kind of more educational video style helpful, let me know down in the comments below, and I can always give you more sneak peeks at how I coach my clients in the program. And if you wanted to get more information on how I do work with my clients, there's going to be links in the description. And of course, if you did find this video helpful, then YouTube is going to recommend another video on this page, and I'll see you in the next one.